Jamekia coming back to y'all. Jamekia Anderson. Okay, so I don't even know why I said my name like that, but y'all, whatever. So listen, y'all. I done had a busy morning. It has been everything. Y'all already know it was Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits Day, as it is every day. But we were live on YouTube and on Facebook, and then we wound up going onto Clubhouse and chatting there too. So, I've had a good morning with my ladies, and we were having a discussion about relationships. And one of the things that we were talking about was a comment that was made in our room on Saturday, I think, when we did a live. And pretty much the comment was, a lot of us are dealing with parenting issues within our romantic relationships. And when I heard that, it was like it was like boom, 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 boom. Like, I just seen it like, dang, that went hard, because that's what we talk about all the time. Like, if you guys think about therapy, if you've ever been in therapy or any of those things, typically you have an issue. You come to the therapist, you're like, this is my issue. And they start asking you questions. They're trying to dig into, why is this an issue for you? And so they'll ask you questions surrounding that particular instance. So let's say, I don't want to make up nothing. I'll think of something later, because I gotta let things just flow. But think of an issue that you have with your mate, and then say you want to go to therapy for it. They always doing something that you dislike. Well, most therapists have a tendency to start to, after they start to question, because it's talk therapy, they start to question you about a couple of things, and then they dive into your past and how is this particular issue showing up. Hold on, y'all, sorry. Boom. People was trying to call me, but I got to finish this live. So they'll try to dig into your past and how has this issue shown up for you in other instances. And so they dive into it, and sometimes it takes a while, because your brain is trying to protect you. Your brain is trying to be like, nah, this ain't it, like danger zone. Your brain wants to protect you and keep you in safety mode. So you're going to think of all these other stories and all these other times that this has happened for you, but they're trying to get to that root cause. When did this first happen? And then why did you take this in to make it seem or feel like whatever it is you're experiencing? So say, I'm trying to think of one. So say, for instance, you're an individual who's in a relationship, and in your relationship you have a tendency, your mate has a tendency, your partner has a tendency to always be busy. And for you, initially, it doesn't bother you. Like, yes, they got a job, they're doing X, Y, and Z, and you hear people who are always talking about, oh, well, if you really want this type of life, then you're going to have to deal with people who are unavailable at times. And those are the type of relationships, because you want this standard of living, that you have to understand that standard of living comes with a person not being attentive, not being able to listen to all your complaints, not being available when you need them, whatever have you. And you start to become upset, or you dislike that idea, and initially you may be okay with it, but over time it starts to bother and fester. And then you come to a realization, like, you're just like, well, I feel abandoned, or I feel forgotten, or I feel less than. So now you've taken these actions that you've experienced, and you've put these other feelings towards the actions. And so when you go to a therapist, you're like, well, I'm in this relationship with this person, they never have time for me, they're unavailable. When we make plans, they always cancel on me. And so the therapist is going to start questioning you concerning the issues that you brought to the table. But then over time, it's these questions of, well, how have you seen this show up in your life previously? And they're, of course, through talk therapy, they're trying to identify, where else did this happen where people were not showing up for you? Or why do you feel that this person is abandoning you when you know that they have this particular type of career, or this is the type of person that they are? Why do you get involved with these type of people? It's so many layers to it. But then you get down to the nitty gritty, you realize, well, my mother wasn't there enough, because when I was a child, my mother had to work. She was always working. She had to pull two jobs, double shifts, or whatever else. Or maybe you're the individual who's like, well, my father always had to work. My father was never really available. He had a job where he had to go overseas a lot, or he was in the army, in the military, or whatever it is. There's a full gambit of things it could be, but your therapist is there to make those connectors for you, right? Your choice and the reason why you do the things that you do today is based off of the experiences that you've had in the past that you've never dealt with. And so you start to feel abandoned or feel a certain way about these situations, primarily because this is something that you now look for unknowingly to yourself. You look for someone who is similar to that caregiver. Or maybe, and this can come up as well, is you are unavailable. You aren't a person who wants to pour all those things into a relationship. So you choose people who you know are going to be busy so that you don't have to overinvest, or you don't have to, you can show up the way that you want to show up in the relationship. And this could be on anything. Again, this is just an example of what's being said. So we're in places where we are trying to work out these parental issues within these romantic relationships, and sometimes this causes us to stay in these relationships way longer than we need to be, and this could be for multiple reasons as well. For myself, I've been in situations where I have been this, trying to, because that's what I'm going to say, trying to play the savior role, because that's what I needed, right? I may have, when I was younger, I dealt with abandonment issues, I dealt with neglect, I dealt with all these different things, and so I wanted someone to come in and be that savior role. And society kind of teaches you that too. You have the superheroes, you have church, who's, religion, that's telling you Jesus come in to save you, and so you need to wait for this savior, versus you becoming what it is that you need. And so sometimes what happens for me, because of course I'm in a place of healing and exploration and all these things, I've learned that over time, when I am not showing up for myself, when I'm trying to overinvest in other people, I've learned to question myself and say, how am I not showing up for myself in this particular way? So for instance, if it is that savior complex, like, oh, well, this person just needs to be heard, or oh, this person just needs someone to love them a little bit more, or oh, this person, whatever the excuse may be that I want to give to it, it is now for me to say, okay, how are you not showing up for yourself in those ways? What do you need to do to feel more loved? What do I need to provide to myself to feel more appreciated? What are those things that I need to give to me? Because no one else is coming to save us. We have to learn how to save ourselves. And once we do that and we take on our own accountability, then we can shift and become the best version of ourselves. And so, and we're learning to call our energy back to us. We're learning to be more defined in what it is, and provide ourselves with more clarity. And so that's very vital. It's very important. And we were just having this conversation, and I'm not gonna lie, I was so into it. I was just sitting there like, oh my goodness. Like, oh my goodness, like, this is a needed conversation, definitely for myself. I'm always looking to have certain conversations for myself, bring clarity to myself, but also for others to understand what it is that they're experiencing. And when we took our conversation off of Facebook and YouTube, we went over to Clubhouse and continued the conversation, and the topic kind of shifted. It was still that same thing, but we talked about the freedom of shifting. And this is important because what happens is we become so very conditioned to doing what other people need, giving what other people need from us, or doing what other people desire us to do, and we're so busy handling ourselves in such a way that we're trying to be all inclusive, and sometimes you just have to focus on you. What happens is sometimes you have society who tells you, oh, you're too masculine and you need to do X, Y, and Z. And this is the reason why it's masculine, because we have these structures that are for a male or for a female. And just because those structures are, just because it's said, right, somebody stated that that's a male structure, that or male caricature, that doesn't mean that that's true. And just because someone says, oh, well, if you're female, you should be feminine and you should act like this, that's a portrayal. That doesn't mean that that's true. And so a part of it is understanding, you know, what it is that other people are telling you to do or not to do, and also understanding that you have a choice in choosing what roles you want to play in those aspects, right? Do you really want to be in a situation where you're always the one who is with the kids and doing all the housework and cooking and cleaning, and that's not you? Then that's not your role. You be who you are, so that you find the mate who can satisfy that side of you, who can help complement, that's the word I was looking for, who can help complement you. And what we do is we have a tendency to want to pretend. We have a tendency to want to I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say it like that, but ultimately we have a tendency to not be who we are, but to be who people told us to be in order to get what we think we want, and to realize that that's not really what you want, to be in a relationship or a situationship that does not honor who you are as a person. And then we become upset, and we're trying to maintain something that does not satisfy us at all. And we're trying to be in these situations that are depleting our energy, that are causing us to question everything that we are, everything that we have to give to others. And it just does not make sense. Holistically, it doesn't make sense. And so this is why people find themselves in all types of functioning relationships, right? And I even laugh because I was mentioning in one of the rooms how I've been watching a lot of, y'all know I love anime, side note, but I've been watching like a whole lot of just Japanese, Chinese, Korean movies, you know, whatever else. I don't even know who is who at this point, but I be watching the shows, and you have these people who are businessmen and businesswomen, and their family are just so manipulative. And it's like, you need to do this for the good of the family, you need to do this for the good of the company, you need to do this for da 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 da, excuse me. And you have these individuals who are like, I don't love this person, I don't like this person, I am miserable right now. They're like, well, you can love who you love, but as far as this company, and as far as how you're seen in society, you need to do X, Y, Z. It's not about how you feel. It's about the contract and the commitment that you have, or that we need to have in place to save this family. And I think we deal with that somewhat in our society too, where society has their own views, and they place their own oppressive concerns onto us, and we kind of sign up for those things just because that's the norm of what it is that we are used to doing, right? That's the historical stance behind it. And yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just a really good conversation. It was a lot going on. I definitely want to bring a lot of those thoughts and comments back, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about those things at a later date. But if you haven't already, y'all, make sure y'all go up to the top, subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment on this video down below. Share this out to a friend and somebody you think might need to hear this, and or have a discussion with your friends. Like, y'all watch it and be like, what y'all think about this? Like, this is, you know, how you feel about this? But yeah, y'all, whatever it is, bring the conversation back here so we can discuss it a little bit more. But y'all, I'm about to get up off of here. As always, I told you it's your girl Jamekia Anderson. And listen, we out here living, y'all. Live your life for you. Okay? Be the best version of you. Show up for you. Do all the things for you first. And as you're developing to the best version of yourself, everybody else is going to benefit from that as well. So I love y'all, and I'm out.